New at 10, Blessed Sacrament School in Holyoke will be closing its doors at the end of this academic year. In a letter to families today, the pastor explained the decision came down to finances. He says over the past 15 years, enrollment has dropped from more than 300 students to 112 present day. The pastor also disclosing that the school has an annual deficit of at least $275,000. And in order to sustain operations with the current enrollment, tuition would need to rise to well over $9,000 per student. The letter also laying out how the school already cut as many services and programs possible and tried restructuring grade levels and staff, leaving them with no options left other than with families taking on the financial burden. The pastor assures families that they have a plan in place and information about next steps, timelines, records, and more will be communicated promptly. Mayor Joshua Garcia also putting a statement out that Holyoke Public Schools is ready to welcome students with open arms. At the end of his letter, the pastor reiterated how difficult and deliberate of a decision this was to make, saying in short, this decision came only after we recognized that there were no longer responsible or sustainable paths forward.